First and foremost, welcome. We are very excited to have you join us for our Hamilton Hangout of our diverse and inclusive community. Congratulations on being admitted to Hamilton College class of 2027. We are very excited that you are here to learn a little bit more about Hamilton College. And I am excited to be joined by several current students and staff here at Hamilton. My name is Caitlin Oliver, and I'm one of the Associate Deans of Admission and the Director of Diversity Recruitment. And I'm sure you all have gotten several emails from me. So know that I am happy and eager to engage with each and every one of you, and feel free to email me after this event, and feel free to utilize the chat to ask any questions throughout the duration of our program. My colleague Eric Radonia is behind the scenes answering those questions in the Q&A, and will bring forth some general questions for us to ask live. So feel free to utilize that function of the Q&A. I'm going to pass it over to our panelists who will introduce themselves, and then we'll get started with some questions. I'll pass it on to Dean Maria.
Hello, everyone. Good day to all. My name is Maria Hangout Ohms. I serve as the Associate Dean for Diversity and Inclusion here at Hamilton, and I'm based in the Dean of Students office in the Division of Student Life. I've been at Hamilton since the fall of 2018. I'll pass it over to Juan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juan Guerra. I'm part of the class of 2023 here at Hamilton. I'm from Houston, Texas, and I'm a double major in Hispanic Studies and also biochemistry. And here on campus, I participate in ping pong and other clubs, but I'm also part of the Questbridge, and I'm on the e-board of Questbridge. But yeah, I'll pass it on to Isis.
Hi everyone, I'm Isis. I am class of 2025, so I'm a sophomore. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, and I am majoring in biochemistry with a minor in theater. On campus, I am currently the captain of HEAT, our all-inclusive hip-hop dance team. I'm also an oral communications tutor, and I'm a part of the Opportunities program. I'll pass it over to Nicole.
Hello everyone, my name is Nicole Ramirez. I am a senior here at Hamilton. I go by she, hers, and I am currently from Miami, Florida. I'm majoring in world politics and minoring in French. And on campus, I have been a part of various clubs, but more recently I've been into intramural sports, so I've been doing that. And I'm also a part of the Posse community here at campus. And I'll pass it over to Norbu.
Cool, thank you. My name is Norbu, and I'm a sophomore from Bajan, so it's a long way home from home. I'm majoring in economics and minoring in Chinese. And on campus, I enjoy doing a bunch of different things, but my usual engagements are working in the admissions office. I also work in SADA, which is the Student Activities Office, and I'm an RA for Dunham, which is one of our freshman dorms.
Great, thank you all, and I'm very excited to hear from each and every one of you tonight. So to start us off, my first question is sort of what brought you to Hamilton? Maria, what brought you to work at Hamilton? And for each of our students, why did you choose Hamilton?
So Hamilton was of interest to me for various reasons. One of them was that I was really interested in this idea of being at a much smaller institution. In my career, I've been at much larger, significantly larger institutions, and had not been in a liberal arts space. And there was something that was really interesting to me about being in an environment where there's a much smaller population of students, because it allows the opportunity for you to really get to know students in a much deeper level, get to know a little bit more about them, instead of just kind of moving through and engaging with a bunch of students. You really get to know where students are coming from, which then allows me to better serve students in what they need and help them move through their time at Hamilton. I think the other thing that was really interesting to me is that the college, when I was brought on, did not have a role like mine. So my role was an inaugural role to Hamilton, which to me signaled this commitment to really advancing equitable practice in this space, which is why I do this work in higher education. And that to me is really important, because when an institution puts fiscal resources behind roles like mine, that's the beginning of a pretty deep commitment. And Hamilton has demonstrated this commitment for some time, especially starting with the need blind admission over 10 years ago, and some other features of the college. So those were a couple of the things, but really, ultimately, it was the opportunity to really get to sit with students. I mean, I get to have meals with students. We connect in other ways. And so by the time students get to graduation, I know more than just their major, their minor, and what they've done. I, oftentimes get to meet their parents, get to know their families, and get to know really like unique qualities. And I really love that depth, that opportunity for depth of connection.
I guess building off of Dean Maria's comment, I really enjoyed applying to a small college. That was my ideal thing. And I feel like just having a very close-knit community where everyone knows almost everyone else, I feel like that's a pretty nice thing to see. I have friends at other big universities, and just feels a bit more, and it just feels a lot more in like conducive when you're in like such a small area. And that was like a big reason of why I came to Hamilton, but also academically, I really enjoyed getting to know about the open curriculum. In high school, I enjoyed some subjects. I didn't enjoy a bunch of other ones. So I guess it's super nice having like a independently planned out curriculum at Hamilton. So yeah, that was one of my big two reasons.
Yeah, for me, like Maria said, I was set to go to a college with kind of like a small college such as Hamilton, because you really get to connect with the professors and also with your friends, and have a group of people that you can actually like talk to and connect with. Having this connection with professors also allows you to do research with them, and like other opportunities that you can later learn from. And another thing that also brought me to Hamilton was the open curriculum, which Norbu talked about. My freshman year, I took like so many random classes because I didn't know what to do with my major. So I took Japanese classes, I took math classes, literature classes. So you like your freshman year here at Hamilton is kind of like your trial period where you can like learn more about yourself, what kind of classes you like, and then once you enter your second year at Hamilton, you can kind of like have a foundation of what you want to do with your career.
Yeah, also building up off of Juan, I came, like I said, through the Posse program. And so in choosing my schools, I remember Hamilton stood out to me primarily because of the study abroad program and their aid with financial aid. That was something that I really wanted to, I guess, achieve during my 4 years in college. And I knew that any school that would put their money where their mouth is in order to do this would be where I want to go. And I remember I had a friend that was at Hamilton, was already enrolled when I was going through the process, and that's why Hamilton stood out to me. Also, just major wise, I knew I really liked government, more specifically international relations, and I know that the alumni network at Hamilton is very prestigious, and it being a college, it allows you to reach out to these alum for just a coffee and a chat and hear about their journey, and it would be more accessible than if I were to go to just a larger school where there were less opportunities and more students asking for them. So I think those were my main two things, and that's why Hamilton stood out to me first.
Yeah, I realize that a lot of us have a lot of reasons in common, because I think that one of the main reasons that I wanted to come to Hamilton was because of the open curriculum. I feel like in high school, I was really limited in terms of the courses that I had to take, because I really had to follow. It was like a STEM path or the humanities path, like there was no mixing of it. So I feel like I really wanted to explore that and see what I was really interested in. So having that open curriculum was really big for me. And then another reason I wanted to come to Hamilton was definitely for the small college experience, because I know that I would not survive at a big university. Like I really need that building deep connections and like forming relationships with people. And I feel like it has been so beneficial for me so far, as well as the abundance of resources that Hamilton has truly been amazing. And I feel like that definitely stood out to me as well, because it's just like you're able to do just about anything and get support anywhere and ask for help. And I feel like that's not something that you would get at a big university.
Awesome. Thank you all. And I think you all really touched on a lot of the aspects that make Hamilton special in terms of the opportunities and resources and the experience you would have. So now I'm going to pull one thing from something each of you said. So Nicole, you mentioned one of the reasons why you came to Hamilton was for study abroad. So I would love for you to talk about study abroad here at Hamilton and your experience as you went away for your entire junior year. So I would love for you to explain the sort of why you decided to do that and that experience on going abroad.
Yeah, of course. And so, like I said, I'm a world politics major, and I kind of knew that this after taking my first international relations class and researching a little bit with the professor, building that relationship that really solidifies, someone's interest in the subject. And I really enjoyed that. And so I knew that I wanted to go abroad somewhere that would challenge my international relations wisdom a little bit more. But then also coming into Hamilton, which is another, kudos to the open curriculum, is that I started taking French classes here. And I had never taken French before. And so in doing that, I kind of wanted to mix the two. And so for my first semester of my junior year, I decided to do an off-campus study. So not technically study abroad, but I still was in Washington, D.C. that semester. And I was able to partake in a full-time internship role where I was able to learn from professionals while also taking, important current event classes with the professor for that semester, a Hamilton professor. And I really enjoyed it. The process was, it felt like I was very much supported from, obtaining an internship to being able to network with other previous alums that had also done the same semester in DC that I wanted to do. And so that was a great experience overall. And I'm very grateful for that. And then my second semester, I decided to go to Paris, France through the Hamilton in France program. And that one was also a different, but equally exciting time. I lived with a homestay, so it was a bit different and it really challenged my language skills. But looking back to it, I don't think I would ever be as fluent as I am in the language if I had not gone abroad. And that was another one of my goals, learning another language in college, which is why studying abroad was so important to me. I knew that I wanted to be somewhere that I could learn, culturally, just everything that went around it, while also developing my government perspective, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, that was my junior year abroad or off campus.
Great, thank you. I just love to hear about your experience and let other students know that is definitely a possibility for you to study abroad, and 60% of our students decide to study abroad. So a great part of your Hamilton experience. And so Norbu and Juan, you both talked about sort of the open curriculum and the small community. And so I would love for sort of one of you to talk about sort of how the vibe is on campus, right? What is the campus community like socially? And what is the campus community and vibe like academically?
I can start with the social aspect. I feel like a big factor that made me like Hamilton was the accessibility of all the clubs we have on campus. I think we have close to around 200 clubs, and we have more clubs every single year. But the best thing I like about the clubs here is that there's no application, there's no red tape behind joining clubs. We have a big club fair towards the start of every single semester, so it's a great way for freshmen or any other student to get involved in these clubs. I'm still a sophomore, but I still go to these club affairs, and it's a great way to sign up for 10 different clubs. I know I won't go to some of them, but it's still a nice way to like ever like if I ever feel the if I ever feel the mood to like go fencing or go curling or like some other fun sport or like some event, I can always like feel free to do so. So I feel like the social environment here is very open, it's very fun. And during the weekends we have SEDA, which is the student center here. They run a bunch of events, and some of them go up until like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And these are all super fun events. I think we have like casino night, there's like karaoke, there's like sip and paint. I think there's like a bunch of other fun events, and the best part is if your club, like that a club that you make ever wants to collaborate with SEDA, you get funding to do like fun events. So if you're in ping pong club, you know, like apply for funding from SEDA and then have like a big event where everyone gets together. So yeah.
I can talk about the academic side here at Hamilton. I love it. Everyone is very supportive of each other. Like everywhere you go, either at the science center or CJ, which is the math building, you can see like students helping each other out in the blackboards, just doing homework. And I also like that you can go with the professors like during office hours, and yeah, you'll see the like it's very impactful how the professors help you out, not only like with academic work, but also with like research opportunities. Also, if you need help with like your career or your future career or stuff like that. So the academic side is very supportive of each other. Here at Hamilton, we also have other academic sites, such as the Writing Center, which is a useful resource where you can improve your writing, you can make appointments, and if you have any essays or any questions, you can go with them and they'll help you out with writing. We also have the QSR Center, which is help mainly with STEM people, such as math, econ, science, any sciences. And you can see like Hamilton has built like a community where it's not like a competitive academic side, but more of a supportive academic side. So, and I absolutely love that.
Great, thank you both. And since Juan started talking about resources on campus academically, Maria, I would love for you to talk a little bit about the resources available for students, you know, culturally, who identify with LGBTQI+ community within the religious community on campus.
Sure thing. So at Hamilton, we have a center called the Days Solo Center, or students refer to it, the community refers to it as the DMC. Within the DMC, there is an array of student organizations that are advised by the DMC. And in addition to that, there is the Center for Intersectional Feminism, formerly known as our Women's Center. And then we have also the GSU, which is the Gender and Sexuality Union. So those two areas have exclusive space in the DMC, and are also groups on campus that I would consider, think about peer support, also in addition to programming and advocacy that those groups do. But one of the things that I also like to point out is specifically for gender nonconforming students, LGBTQ students who are questioning, we do have a person on staff who is an LGBTQI specialist, and their role is specifically to work with students one-on-one or in a group setting. So that person will do either group space for students who are questioning trans, or, you know, just different very small group type of conversations or individual conversations. That person is not providing therapy, but they are a bridge should a student need clinical therapy to our counseling center. So I always like to be very clear with that's really, that person is there specifically because we had been hearing from a lot of students that they had a need for someone like that, you know, the programming was great. You know, it's always great to celebrate history and all of those things and recognize and acknowledge specific times throughout the year. But what students were telling us several years ago was that they really wanted to connect one-on-one with someone who understood their transition process or could help them think through what that would look like or could look like, especially if they were not out to their families or otherwise. And so we created this role for this person, and that has been really useful to students from what we're hearing in feedback and in surveys and things like that. The other piece that I want to be clear about is that we also have very strong community partnerships. So the Q Center is a coalition of centers in Utica and Syracuse and in Watertown, which is like near and around our area. And the Q Center provides everything from something similar to our specialists, but they also offer support groups. They also offer special events. They do SED testing, all of these things, and also provide counseling if a student is seeking gender affirming counseling and before they consider having any kind of surgery or procedure. So we have these direct contacts with these community areas because we do not have that on campus, but we know that that's a need for our students. So we also work very closely with Planned Parenthood, which has an office in Utica, and they also come on campus every 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So we have the ability to fill in gaps that exist here at the college. As far as our religious and spiritual life area, it is known as a chaplaincy, and it is a space that's housed in our chapel, which is the iconic image that you see when you see the Hamilton brand. You see, yep, right behind Caitlin, that's what the chapel looks like. And so on that third floor is where the chaplaincy is housed. Yep, right up there. And that space, even though that iconography really communicates Christianity as, which is what was practiced in that building at one time, that building no longer is actually a multi-faith space. So on the second floor, there's a beautiful prayer space that was created in partnership with the mosque in Utica for our Muslim students. So the mosque in Utica several years ago provided what looks like but is the rug that sits in that prayer space. And it's just a really beautiful, serene space, and really interesting that it's in a building that's actually on the National Registry of Historic Sites, because our chapel is one of a handful of 3-story buildings of its kind still left in the United States. So there's a lot of really interesting things happening in that space. So in addition to it focusing on religious faith traditions, or traditional faith traditions, I should say, there's also groups of students who identify as atheists, questioning, spiritual. We have a very strong group of mindfulness focused students. And so there's a lot that's happening in that space around exploring for yourself. We always talk to students that once you come to Hamilton, this is an opportunity for you to explore your own beliefs, right? So you may have been raised in a certain tradition in your family, and that's wonderful, but maybe you're wondering, so what is this about? What does this mean for me as an individual? And that's what that department is there to help you do.
Awesome. Thanks, Maria. I think it's really important to highlight, there's affinity for everyone, right? And people will find their spaces on campus, their people on campus, the resources and support that they have on campus, and that here at Hamilton, we want you to explore and continue to dive deep in sort of your identities. And so I do want to transition a little and have Isis start us off in talking about the Clinton area, right? Where we're located, which I know is a big part of sort of making your college decision. So Isis, I would love for you to start to talk about sort of the surrounding areas. Do you utilize the jitney? What is the jitney? And do you get off campus to explore?
Yes, I would love to. Okay, so the Jitney is our school transportation shuttle service. It is free. So essentially, we have this little minivan that runs hourly that takes you to the nearby mall that has Target and like shopping stores and like massage chairs. And then it also takes you to the cinema nearby, and it takes you to a nearby shopping center that has like Walmart, a bunch of restaurants, Ulta, like essentially anything that you need, you could just jump on Jitney and go get it, and like easily accessible, very resourceful, like especially for first year students who aren't allowed to bring their cars on campus. So you could have the Jitney there, like it's as a resource there for you. I think the Clinton area is usually compared to I can't remember the name of the town right now, but like you know the one in Gilmore Girls. Yeah, it's usually compared to that one because I feel like it's so small and quaint and like everybody's just so like close knit and like it's just like you just need to take a day, walk down the hill and just explore Clinton. Like I feel like I was here during the summer and I did it once. I feel like I didn't do it entirely, but like you know, I would walk near Musical Coffee and like just look at the little stores that they have there where they have like their little Clinton merch. And then we have like a great creameria down there as well. I feel like it's really, really great. Yeah, so the Clinton area might be a small one, but I feel like there are things for you to do. Like you could always find something to do. Even if it's not off campus, campus is always booming. There's always activities to do on campus. So I don't think you'll ever get bored.
Thanks, Isis. And then if someone can talk about sort of the nature side of Central New York, right? And how Hamilton embraces the nature and the weather, right? A lot of you are coming from warmer climates. How was that adjustment as you came to Hamilton?
Yeah,
Go
so I
ahead.
can talk a little bit about that. I know for me, it was definitely the first time living in an extremely cold area. I had seen snow probably like once before, and so adjusting was, you know, it was kind of like a bit of a shock when all of a sudden, like one day, you just open your blinds and everything's white, and you're like, what happened to the grass? But it the community definitely knows that every year there are students that have not experienced Clinton weather. And so, you know, they always advise you get warm clothes. The school will also help you with that if this is like out of your financial budget. And you know, that's kind of like what I did. I got a big coat. I was able to kind of get through that. But then in terms of like the location, I know again, I'm from Miami, Florida. So the only nature side that I get is like really like beach, which is still nice, but you know, I love the mountains. My parents are from Colombia, and so I go to Colombia to visit my family very often. And so I know here on campus, everyone really loves the outdoors, and they embrace the proximity of Hamilton to the Adirondacks, which are like 2 to 3 hours away. And I, you know, joined the Hawk team, or not Hawk team, the club, which is the outdoors club, and I really enjoyed it. I also became an orientation leader because of it. I started rock climbing here, which I never thought I would do, especially not coming from Miami. I used to go on weekend trips with my friends, and I'm looking forward to doing that again soon. And yeah, I think it's just like a beautiful side of campus that you can't get anywhere else. And so yeah, so I've really enjoyed it and embraced that side of coming to Hamilton.
Great, thanks, Nicole. I think something that Nicole said is like she never expected, right, to go rock climbing or to be sort of outdoorsy, and so embracing that and embracing those the different environment is like really encouraging, and something that I said I'm going to start doing since moving here is like going out and going on hikes. So I'm not an outdoors person, but you got to embrace it if it's around you. And so anyone can answer this next question. Are there any of the cultural clubs programmings that students cannot miss, right? Events as a first year that first year should not miss as well.
Yeah, so I guess I could talk about the club fair that usually happens every year, or every semester actually, because it also happens for January admins or transfer students. And so personally, I think that was one of the best times, especially coming after orientation, where and like, you know, a couple of months into classes, you've already made friends. You see who leads these clubs on campus, and there are over like 200. And they're so niche, they're so peculiar. And I just think it's fun because it allows students to get involved with various communities on campus and like get their foot in the door, you know. They will spam your emails though, be aware. So if you put down your email, you will not, you know, it'll be very hard to get off that server. But yeah, I just started, you know, my first year like that, and I recommend it to anyone because it also opens up, you know, your interests. I remember the last panel we did, there was an individual that asked me what clubs they should join if they wanted to be an econ major. And although there are club specific, you know, clubs that help your professional development with certain majors, I think that, you know, the clubs at Hamilton are meant to showcase the interests and hobbies of every student. And I think you shouldn't be afraid of trying something new or going with what you like. And so, yeah, don't miss the club fair.
I can speak, yeah. I remember it was last semester, I could be wrong, maybe this semester. The Asian Student Union here had a big like the Lunar New Year celebration. So the line for that event was long. They had a bunch of food from like local areas. I think they had like Indian food, Japanese, Chinese food. And they also had like a bunch of like small games that you could play. There was like my Vietnamese friends where they were singing like Vietnamese karaoke. There was like a bunch of like stickers, a bunch of merch, and that was like a pretty big event. Um, Anyone else?
I feel like an event, I would say that for sure shouldn't miss would have to be Latin Ball. I think Latin Ball is hosted by La Vanguardia and BLSU, which is the Black Latinx Students Union. That's just like a really great event, like such fun vibes, like everybody comes out in their little dresses, their little pants and shirts, and like music is played and you dance and you sing with your friends. And usually they have food or like a little photo booth. So like, you know, you just spend that time with your friends and, you know, make fun memories.
Yeah, another event that also happens is ICA Ball, which is actually gonna happen in a few days currently. And it's really fun. It happens every year. And you know, you just get to dance with the people, know about more cultures, and it's just very kind of like united. You like get to know a lot of new people as well. And I feel like it's a big event to connect with people that you usually don't connect with, and also to try new things and just have fun. So.
Maria, do you have any events or things that you think students should not miss?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I will say, and you certainly can't miss this because you have to do orientation. But I think about oh my gosh, all of the things that happen at first year orientation that I think are pretty unique to Hamilton. Orientation at Hamilton is a week, roughly like a week and a half long, on campus orientation. And then there's an off campus component, which is referred to as like trips that all of our first year students take, and you get to, if I'm not mistaken, select or identify what your trips are or what you're interested in. And then you get to essentially go on a trip with people who are strangers who will become your peers at Hamilton, which I think it's kind of like throwing you right into the deep end, right off the bat, in a really cool and unique opportunity. So that's definitely a can't miss, and one that you won't miss. I can't speak specifically to the experiences the students have shared. I mean, I pop in and out, but to me, all of the programming that the students do is really, really exciting. And I try not to be that weird administrator that shows up in places and people are like, why are you here? So not that anybody has kicked me out or anything like that, but you know, I don't want to be that person. So I try to pop in, say hi, hang out for a little while and then get out of their way. But it's so fun. There's so many fun things that are constantly happening at Hamilton. It's kind of hard to not be doing something.
Great, thank you. And so what, for anyone, again, we'll have two of you answer. What was something that was what was the most surprising thing about campus life for you when you got to Hamilton?
I think it's how fast you feel at home at Hamilton. I think this mainly could be from like a result of the orientation trips. You get to campus, you're sent out off campus for 4 days, you like sleep in tents, you get soaked. It rained on my trip, which is really fun. But when you come back, you're like, oh, this is my space, this is my dorm. So you feel like super close, like super like home as soon as you get here. And I think what I found really surprising was how safe I feel on campus. I could be walking back from the library at like 2 a.m. to my dorm all alone, and I'd feel like completely safe. And I feel like safety here is like a really nice thing, especially knowing that like there's like absolutely like no big issues that you face on campus. And if you ever do feel unsafe, we have the campus security office. If you ever want like a ride or this has happened to a few of my friends, but if you ever injure yourself, if you have like a leg injury and you can't walk to and from places on campus, you can always call the campus security office and they'd be happy to like drive you from the dining hall back to your dorm or like some other place. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the most surprising thing for me was the number of resources that Hamilton has. I feel like the amount of resources that Hamilton has could definitely be overwhelming at times, but I feel like you have to take it at your own pace. Because like I know I have my OP advisor, I have my faculty advisor, I have my Alex advisor. So literally, if I need help for anything, I cannot complain because I could just go to either one of them. And then you have the academic centers where you can go to the writing center for a paper, as Juan mentioned, or you can go to the OCC. Like I work at the OCC, so if you need help with a presentation and like you get nervous about public speaking, I can help you with that. Like if you have an interview coming up, like we could do a mock interview. Like and then we have the QSR as well, as you mentioned too, in terms of like if you are doing a problem set and you just need help, like you could go to drop in and get help. Like there are people who are your peers that help tutor you. And I just feel like that just goes to show the collaborative environment we have here at Hamilton. Like everybody is so willing to help you and just willing to push you to succeed. So I feel like the resources we have here just gonna help you succeed. And I think that you should definitely take advantage of all the resources offered.
Caitlin, can I add one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
I to answer that question too, and to add to what Isis was sharing. I think one thing that I like to make sure I stress to first year students, because I hear this misconception often, is that, and this is specifically for students that have higher fiscal need, that they think that they cannot, that traveling abroad or being part of the domestic abroad trips, right? Off-campus study, that's out of reach for them. And I will say one of the things that was surprising for me, again, off of what Isis was sharing when we're talking about resources, is that there is an opportunity for you to travel off campus and do off-campus study, whether you choose a domestic program or an international program. Because of the folks that are in that office that are really committed to helping as many students as possible have that experience. Like doing off-campus study is kind of a hallmark of being a Hamilton student, and you often will hear about it from your third year, like in your junior years, when students tend to travel or go abroad or away off campus. So I just want to say that to all of you that are participating and considering if Hamilton is a place that you'd like to come, that if doing off-campus study, whether you are doing a domestic program or international, and you're wondering like, well, am I going to have the funds to do that? It's very, very possible that you do. And so I just want to stress that. And that's one of the things that surprised me about Hamilton, that aid is structured in a way that it travels with you. And so you can have that opportunity, right? Like that's really something that that I was surprised to know that the college makes possible. So it's not out of reach. So I wanted to make sure to highlight that, especially because Isis shared, did such a good job of sharing of all these resources that are available to you. And that's one that I want to highlight.
Great, thank you. And then I do want to remind people that we have about 20 minutes left. So if you do have questions, please put them in the Q&A and we'd be happy to answer them. So Nicole and Juan as our seniors here, which is super exciting as y'all are navigating this process. I would love for each of you to share a little bit, sort of going off about what surprised you about Hamilton, but what has been like your favorite moment, right, throughout your 4 years so far? You all are going to have a lot of moments in your senior year, and especially in your senior spring, but so far, what is something that is like the most memorable for you?
That's a deep question.
Sorry, the philosopher in me, I'm sorry.
I think like my most memorable time here, or not here, but during my senior year, I guess, I would also say here, was I'm a student game manager for the women's ice hockey team on campus, and I was able to, assist with practices. This was kind of like another job, on campus. And a lot of my friends are on the team, and in doing that, I was able to, I know they offered me for another weekend to go see, them play at NESCACs and then NCAAs. And so it was cool for me, not just because I'm not an athlete, and it was cool going, but just because, as someone that's not on the team, it felt like it was kind of like a family. And so that's kind of, goes into just how like Hamilton has felt, especially now as a senior. I think, relationships have been formed, they've developed, and I think that, I think every memory has to do with someone around me that I really care about. And so that was just one of them. And yeah, I'm just very grateful for the relationships that Hamilton has, given me, and that I'll like continue to develop as, moving forward.
I think for me, my most memorable and like output throughout my 4 years here at Hamilton was definitely my first semester. It was very, very new to me. As I mentioned before, I'm from Houston, Texas, so it's a very long way from home. So adapting to the weather and also coming from home was like kind of like hard at first, but then through that first semester here at Hamilton, I got to know so many cool people, either through Questbridge or through clubs, like people were saying, or just like talking with people at events. And so for me, like the most memorable part of my 4 years here at Hamilton was creating that community or that group of people that I still talk to and I'm very close till now. And it has like kind of like impacted who I am as a person and created like this connection with people that I really care about. So whether it's through orientation, through clubs, through other things that you do here at Hamilton, you get to kind of like build yourself and also build a group of people that you're probably gonna care about throughout your whole life. So I think that first semester is definitely like the most impactful for me here at Hamilton.
Nice. Thank you both for sharing that. And so for everyone on our Zoom today, as we are talking to admitted students in the class of 2027, and I'm sure, thinking about where they're going to end up, and hopefully it's Hamilton, when they get on Hamilton's campus, who do you think should be the first person they should connect with or who they should meet within their first month of college? Yeah, go ahead, Nicole.
Well, I'm biased, but I would probably say, I don't know what the likelihood of this happening is, but for me, one of my biggest, like, also another reason why I came and I accepted the Posse scholarship was after, meeting my mentor. His name is Max Majeric. He's a professor in the organic chemistry department. And I, have never taken a science class here, but if it weren't for Posse, I probably wouldn't have met him. But him having that experience, he has a love for Posse, and I can attest that he's a great person to talk to about anything. And at least to me, I think he'd be a great contact. It could be a little bit weird at first, but you could say, hey, like, I know this girl, Nicole, that like spoke to me about it. And, she said, you are a great person. So hi, my name is blank. And that would probably just brighten his day up too. But yeah, I think he's a great mentor, and I care a lot for him.
Okay, we'll go to Juan next.
Well, for me, I feel like the professor of faculty that has had a great impact on me is Professor Chang. He's also from the biochemistry department, so I'm kind of like biased towards that. But I met him like my junior year or my sophomore year, and till now he's my thesis advisor as well. And I feel like he's a great resource, not only if you're doing kind of like a biology or biochemistry major, but also if you have questions about research opportunities that you might want to do during your time here at Hamilton, or maybe later after Hamilton, if you wanted to continue pursue like research stuff, because he can connect you with opportunities, or he can talk about like projects that he has done or work, or you can work directly with him, or he can recommend you people to work. And I feel like he's a great resource when it comes to research. He's also the department chair of the biology. So he's a great resource if you're trying to go into kind of like biology or biochemistry.
Thanks, Juan. All right, Isis, you're up. I'm just gonna start calling on y'all since
I think that a really cool person to meet would have to be Professor Makraya. That he is such an interesting man. He is a character in of itself. So essentially, Mark, he just likes to be called Mark. So Mark is the chair of the theater department. So I feel like if you're really interested in theater, or like you just want to learn about theater, I think he's the perfect person to go to. He's just like a good person to talk to about anything. Like I remember there was this one time June summer, he was like, oh my God, here for the summer, like, let's get lunch or something. And like, he usually does this for all international students. He, like, if you're here during a break, he would like say like, yeah, let's go get lunch, let's go get dinner. Like, he's just that type of person. And I feel like I recommend taking Theatre 100. I'm not going to lie. You're going to see Mark in a totally different light than the way that I described him, because he really is a very, very interesting man. But we love Mark. We love Mark. And I feel like everybody should meet him.
thanks, Isis. And then we'll go to Norbu.
I think a non-professor person that I think everyone should meet would be Travis Hill. He's the Associate Dean for Student Engagement, I believe. And he's my direct advisor because I'm an RA. And it's like we have like bi-weekly one-on-one meetings with him, Isis as well. And he's always like the nicest person ever to talk to. It's always like he's just so nice. I feel like comfortable talking about anything to him, especially as an RA, that it can be stressful sometimes, but he's always there to support me. And he's there to get to know me as a person as well. So he's just always like excited for the things I do, and things like that's going on campus. And I see him like pretty often around like various places on campus. So I think he'd be a great person for you to meet on your first month here. Yeah.
Travis is great. Thanks.
I would also add that these three lovely people on this call are also great people to reach out to: Caitlin, Eric, and Maria. They're very supportive, and they always like learning about students and getting to know where you're coming from, if they could help with anything. And yeah, just meeting the community and the student body. So just wanted to add that.
Thanks, Nicole. I was gonna say, like, most of these people are faculty, and that just shows us how accessible, right, our faculty are, and how down to earth they are, and how they are eager to get to know every student on our campus. So definitely take every student's recommendation and connect with professors, connect with us, right? We're here to help. Maria, is there anyone you think a the students should meet within their first month?
I mean, I think all the folks that the students shared are definitely people that you should try to reach out to. And I think, and I say, ditto for all of them. I have the great pleasure of having collegial relationships with all the faculty that the students shared, and also Travis Hill. We joke around that we are partners in crime many times, and he's across the hall from me, and he's really great. I think also it's just, I would say, getting to know the people that live around you. You're going to move into a residence hall, and you will likely have a roommate, and you will definitely have neighbors. So going down the hall, definitely being that person that may be considered as extra, but just going down the hall and saying hi, right? Like, what is your name? Who are you? Where are you from? There are students here from all over the world. And I think oftentimes we always feel like, and I talk with students that often feel like, they're the only ones that are feeling odd and nervous about meeting one another. And what I always like to tell students is, like, if you think you're feeling that way, so is everybody else. So, find your way of breaking the ice and meet your neighbors, because those are the people that are going to live around you for your first year, right? And then you get to move if you want. But you should know who's around you. That's how you build community. And they don't have to be these super deep relationships for the rest of your life, right? They're just your neighbor for that moment. And so it could be a cool hi, bye, good morning, good afternoon, whatever. But knowing the people around you, I would say, would be the first people to connect with. And then as far as like thinking about the academic side or just advising period, we have these advisors known as Alex advisors. And the Alex advising program is fairly new to Hamilton. But certainly as a first year student, you should connect with your Alex advisor. You will be assigned an Alex advisor. You'll know who they are through your portal. But that person, I would say, you should consider your guide throughout your 4 years at Hamilton. They are the person that will help you with all the things, starting from having a bad day to wanting to know how to have a conversation with a professor that maybe you got a grade on that you didn't like, and so you want to rehearse that question around that grade, right? Like, those people are going to help you with that, and really everything else. So I would say those are the two groups of people that I would recommend you connect with in your first 30 days. And of course, I'm here. Come and see me. I'm in the Elihu Root House, and I'm here to work with all students.
Great. Thanks, Maria. I was going to say Alex. I rave about Alex advisors to all my students and in my info sessions, and they are definitely a great resource. So now we're in our last 5 minutes. And so I have some lightning round questions for everyone to kind of blaze through. We'll go in order from how you introduced yourself. So starting with Maria and ending with Norbu. So my first lightning round question is your favorite Hamilton tradition.
Okay, I'm going to break the rule and say two. So my first would be move-in. I love move-in, seeing everybody moving in. The chaos, it's just chaotic and it's fun and everybody's excited to be back. And then commencement. So seeing Juan and Nicole walk the stage here in a few weeks is it's going to be a tearjerker and also really exciting. Those are my two. I know I broke a rule. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it.
Yeah, for me, it's gonna be senior week. It's a Hamilton tradition that is very exciting for all the seniors. You have a whole week to yourselves after finals, and you just kind of end things in a good way with by communicating with people, with your friends, and just hanging out, having fun. And there's a lot of events that you're gonna do during your senior week that is just gonna give you that final ending for your time here at Hamilton. So I think that's going to be my favorite tradition. Yeah.
I think mine would have to be FebFest. So Fest is essentially where um, there's a series of activities happening during February, and it's like, let's say, like peak winter time. So that they would bring comedians or like have like artists come, and there'll be like merch for Feb Fest, a lot of stickers, and it's like there's usually an ice sculpture of the Feb Fest logo outside of State Off, which is actually really cool. Even though this year it was kind of weird because they made the sculpture and it melted, which was kind of crazy. But it's also really fun because it lasts the entire month. So it's like, even though it's like really cold outside, you have something to do. So it's not as depressing, which is great.
Maria's gonna make me cry talking about commencement, but I would say one of my favorite traditions here probably has to be class and charter day, CNC day, which is coming up. And in the past, it's been very memorable. Basically, Hamilton, it's a day. The actual class and charter day is when, you know, the school gives out awards and, you know, kind of like to show, you know, students that have been incredible in their classes and professors have recommended. And, you know, I think it's a great reflection of what you've done. And then also there's a day where the school through CAB, which is a club organization that, you know, throws concerts and things like that, puts funds in for an artist to come and perform just for the Hamilton students. And it's very exciting because it's just a whole day, kind of like a music festival on campus. And then this year we have, why am I blanking on it? Flo Millie. I was like so excited, and now I'm thinking of Amine, who we had last year. So yeah, it's just a fun time.
For me, it would be the first warm day after winter. So you go from wearing like 10 layers to wearing shorts and a t-shirt. It's a really good day. Everyone's outside playing games. Yeah.
Thanks, y'all. All right, so in this last minute, we will do one word to describe the Hamilton community. Go ahead, Maria, you're first.
Oh man, so hard. I'm gonna say generous.
I'm gonna say united.
Supportive.
Unique.
I would say open.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Thank you to our awesome panelists for sort of sharing a little bit about each of your experiences with our students. And we are very excited to continue this series of Hamilton Hangouts as you all sort of navigate the rest of April and engage with us virtually, or if you're coming to campus, please feel free to connect with us. And we hope you have a great rest of your evening. If you do have any questions after you sleep on it tonight, please feel free to email us and engage that way, whether it be at admission@hamilton.edu, or feel free to email me and I can pass it on to any of our panelists this evening. But thank you and have a good night.
Thank you.